Just a big night for the Timberwolves. We were really excited, and I wanted to send a big shout out to Joan's agent, Lloyd from Wasserman. He was excellent, his communication, and he facilitated a late workout for us last weekend in Chicago. We had to travel to go see him, but at the end of the day, it was worth it, and it was one of those throwback, old school, when I first started scouting workouts where we were able to get him in a high school gym and really kind of close the book on the evaluation. He's someone we'd been tracking for the entire season. We had connections on his team in Slovenia, and they alerted him to us early. We got to go see him early, and it turned out great. We weren't sure he was going to make it there, and we were pretty elated when he did.
What do you like most about him?
He's like a ball of clay. You know, he was the third youngest player in the draft, and he plays an incredibly vital role in the league right now because his basket protection is incredible. So he is what really kind of helped us solidify the final evaluation was just getting to meet him. He's a very serious person. He's very dedicated. He's very focused. He learned English in 7 months, the last 7 months. He didn't know English going to Slovenia. He learned it. He learned it from some of his American import teammates, so we may have to clean up some of the language. But all in all, his combination of basket protection on defense and activity on offense is really something to be excited about. So he's kind of a longer term play, but we're ready to kind of enjoy the process of getting him up to speed.
Will you bring him in summer league and then keep him here?
Yep, he's coming to summer league. He's in New York. He was at the draft. He had come here his season ended later than the college kids' season did, so he's only been here for about 2 weeks. He's been bouncing around the U.S. He was completing his testing module for the NBA, his medical, and he'll be at summer league. And our plan is for him to be here in Minneapolis next year.
Matt, having Rudy here as a mentor, it's just like, what do you feel like that is as a situation to bring an 18-year-old kid over here like that?
He mentioned Rudy when we sat and spoke with him on Saturday in Chicago, and just about how he knew Rudy's story, he knew where Rudy had come from, and I think the two of them will develop a synergy because they share a seriousness and approach. So he's going to be great for Joan, and our whole team will be great for Joan because Joan kind of fits the DNA that we've established over here for the last 3 years.
Defensively, what jumps out at you on film and then in person when you got to see him?
He's already a functional basket protection vehicle, which is critical. And then we think, based on some of the stuff we saw that he wasn't able to do during the season in Slovenia, he's going to have switchability. And he's just such a physical presence with his size and his length. He'll be able to swallow up guys in switches, and that's a really exciting thing. We brought Alonzo G, one of our staff members, with us to the workout, who played in the NBA for 8 years. He'd be the best player in this room by far if we played a pickup game. And Alonzo, after the workout, talked about how strong Joan was, and he couldn't really hold him off when we tried to pair them together. So there's a long way to go with Joan, but the end result is high reward.
So how do you go about making those decisions, Matt, of this is a team that's like a conference championship contending team, and you already have like a youngish core, and Joan's significantly younger than all of those guys, so deciding that that's the route you want to take with this pick when every asset can be valuable for roster building. Yeah, I think like if you look at the younger group of guys, we almost have one guy at every single position now, and that's exciting. Just in the way the rules are set up now, the team building rules are restricted a little bit. We have to get our draft picks right, and then we have to be a part of player development. Everywhere Tim has been, player development has been such a huge, important thing that he brings to the table. So Joan will be entered into that, and we're going to start seeing the results at Summer League of Dillingham and Shannon and Clark and Leonard Miller, and all those types of things will start to come together. But just to have a piece now at every single numerical position on the 1 through 5, that's kind of intriguing. Joan's one of those rare cases where the best player available also had a fit, and we were sweating it. I mean, I had to put this on just so I didn't embarrass myself. It was a long night of waiting.
Matt,
So.
what role do you feel like how important speed is for fives in the NBA?
Yeah, I
that
think
seems to pop.
I so appreciate that question. defensive versatility is the order of the day for a 5 in the NBA, unless you're an elite Hall of Fame level drop defender like Rudy Gobert is. So we think Joan's going to have the ability to kind of, in those scramble situations in playoff games, he'll be able to hold up a wing or a guard and a switch if he has to. His mobility and his flexibility and his speed are so elite that they should transfer over in some positive way. So it's not necessarily one single thing that we look at, the broader defensive versatility piece when applying and evaluating bigs is so critical now.
He's really at the ground level on offense. Where are his first building blocks on offense?
Yeah, we were pretty encouraged about his 15-foot and in game when we worked him out, and it's not something that they really challenged him to do at times at Chetavita Olympia. I have a good friend on the coaching staff who promised me that he can shoot 15 to 17 feet. We saw it at the workout. Not saying he's going to come out and be Steph Curry or anything like that, but just the vertical spacing with his pick and roll game, playing on the baseline and then expanding it outward. I think there's some capacity for growth there. He'll be functional enough. Chris Finch likes to run all the dribble handoffs from the bigs and stuff. He'll have a capacity to do that. It's just going to be the part of his natural growth and progression.
Matt, you said you were sweating out a little bit. After you worked him out, were you hoping he was going to be there?
Yeah, we left Chicago super excited.
Yeah.
I mean, in full transparency. I mean, obviously I wouldn't have said that 12 hours ago, but we left Chicago really excited about the prospect of cycling him in.
Were you surprised he was there?
We were. I don't, some things happened ahead of us, I think, that dictated the way the board fell. And this was one of the more exciting drafts just from the prospect of everyone's board was much different, I think, outside of the top 7, 8. We saw some trades happen that started to push guys down to us, and we were just lucky that Joan got there. I mean, we kind of made our own luck too, just because we kind of were able to close the book on that evaluation late and get personal access to him, which was critical to make the decision.
Hey Matt, in each of the last 3 drafts, you guys have made deals on draft day.
Tim Connolly, baby.
A little weird didn't happen this time?
Yeah, no, it wasn't for lack of trying. So, Tim's like one of those guys at the roulette table or whatever it is, the craps table. Like, he just likes to roll the dice. He is the best I've ever seen, and I've worked with a lot of good GMs and had a lot of good bosses, knowing what everyone is doing and how he can connect the dots for them to get there. So he was on the phone all day. We tried to move up, move down, move back, move forward, move sideways. It just fell to where the guy we wanted was there.
Matt, there's a lot of teams that went far in the playoffs that, kind of to Jace's question, did still draft players rather than using that asset to be a trade piece and maybe improve the roster imminently. Do you feel that is important in this sort of environment now, where the collective bargaining agreement, the salary cap, is a little bit more restrictive and needing to have players in the pipeline? Yeah,
I think it was why we did what we did last year for Dillingham, who we remain super high on, and success in both making the evaluating the pick, making the selection, and then player development. They're the 3 kind of pillars of how you can build the team now in the modern, the way the rules are set up. So because Tim has been locked into the draft so long, and I've worked on the draft for several years, and Del Demps and our entire staff did such a great job of information collection, information analysis, intel collection. The entire staff was part of this decision, and the draft is a really, really important piece. So to have 17, first off, the whole thing, if we backtrack to 2 days before training camp and we make that trade, that pick has folded into that trade that we made 2 days before the start of training camp. And for it to fall to 17, at the time, we weren't sure, were we going to get this pick, Detroit's pick? We didn't know. The protections were pretty heavy, and it turned out to be the best case scenario. It was like 2 outside of the protection. So we have 31 tomorrow. So we're going to have to go back to work tonight to start to kind of stack up who's still there and what we're going to do with it. But the draft is, the importance of the draft is enhanced in the new rules, in the new environment.
Matt, also, just does it show kind of, when you guys traded for Rudy, you gave up a lot of picks, but now in the last 3 years you have 3 first-rounders and Jalen Clark. The ability to just kind of adapt along the way, and you trade some picks, you can get them back, and it's not necessarily the damaging thing or to the future that people might have thought
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
early.
and I would even take that a step further. That's a great point, John. I would even take it a step further. Any sort of assertion that we don't have assets is incorrect. And we're going to see it at Summer League. And these guys have all been in here for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, getting ready for the Summer League. We have a really good crew of young players. I know you guys all know that because you're at practice and you see it. The market hasn't seen it yet, and the market is going to start seeing it at Summer League. So, I think, his willingness to get into the draft and be aggressive Tim that is, works in our favor because more likely than not, we're going to probably pick the right guy and we're going to place him into the player development program. And that's not like a subtle brag or anything. It's just the record. We're going to put him in the player development program that's produced Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, et cetera, and we should get a good result.
You know the personnel and you control your own destiny at 31. What does it look like as you come in tomorrow, do you think?
Man, I mean, we just were watching the end to see who was still going to be there.
Right.
And I'm sure he's upstairs right now with one of those like 2 phones right now going to talking to agents as to, what the assessment of the draft will be. But there are going to be good players there, and I think teams will be. It's the second year of the 2-day draft, so someone told me last year that Toronto was getting offered future first-round picks, So we're going to have to kind of line that up and see what the offers are, and we may just draft another guy. So we don't know yet. We don't have.
Matt, Tim and Chris both talk about like how important personality fits is. Getting good dudes is what they say a lot. You mentioned how Johan is a serious hard worker, but what else is it about him, just personality-wise, that make him a fit with the group of guys you have?
I didn't know what to expect when we sat down with him. The workout, I have like grainy videos on my phone that I took at the workout because I started to get so excited. But I didn't know what to expect when we actually sat down with him. And he's about as mature a person as you find. And I think that's why whoever asked the question about Gobert was a good one, because I think the two of them will hit it off. Gobert will be saying like, you can't eat this, you got to do this, like that. He'll fold him into his routine, and it'll serve Joan well. He's a great kid. And he's a kid, but he's got world experience. He's moved to Slovenia. He learned English in 8 months or 7 months. So, if I had to bet on his intangibles, I would. A+. His tools are an A+, and everything else will come along getting experience and gaining experience. So, if that's the category, good dudes, he definitely fits into it.
With Johan, you talked about ball of clay, but like high level rim protection already. But realistically, how far away is he from a guy that if you had to plug him into a playoff game? Yeah,
I don't think we should be afraid of it. I wouldn't sit here and say that he's going to be anything other than what the development plays out for him. But I do think everyone's going to like him, and I do think that I think the players are going to like him. I think the coaches are going to like him, and maybe there's going to be an opportunity. Last year we saw whenever those guys got opportunity, and Dillingham, Shannon, Clark, they all embraced it. Josh Minot. I think we would expect Johan to do the same. When he gets the opportunity, he'll be ready because he's going to stay ready as opposed to having to get ready. And that was the one thing to take away from meeting him, was like a real secure feeling that he was going to be the right type of person.
But he's just like a center who's that young. But you're pretty confident that even a year at the end of this next season, like physically.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I think he'll be introduced into the NBA training program, and our performance staff has been real diligent on moving guys along at the right place for their body, and so we'll have to see. He'll be here soon. We'll enter him into the program, and then probably a better question to answer, like when the season starts, just so we can get a sense of like how he'll fit and all that sort of thing.
You talked about switchability. You see him, what you want to see is primarily a switchable guy rather than a drop guy?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think for the bigs as you like advance in the playoffs, and we've seen it 2 years in a row, the defensive versatility is of paramount importance. Rudy is a first ballot Hall of Famer because he's the best drop defender in the last 15 years in the NBA, and his ability to control the paint and deter shots is, one of the best of all time. So Johan will be able to see that on a night-to-night basis, and he'll be able to see some pretty routine-oriented veterans around him too, and hopefully he'll be able to pick and choose pieces of that. But his defensive versatility should be an A+.
He's listed at 235, which isn't rail thin. Is he pretty solidly built?
He probably has the capacity to even add more to his frame because his frame is so it's just so young, you know. But he's not narrow. He's got like a natural width to him that should allow him to add more weight and continue to kind of gain strength, even on his lower body too. So he's like kind of natural. He played soccer before he played, and he was a striker. We thought he was gonna be a goalie just because he's so big. No, I was a striker. Wow. You know, he was like a 6'9" guy running around playing striker, whatever that means. I'm really not in it. I just don't know soccer, but.
Which high school in Chicago was it?
Oh, come on, man. Fenwick. It was at Fenwick. That was Jelani Floyd again. He set that up, so big shout out to him.
Any other questions?
You guys get the A team tomorrow. Tim will be here tomorrow, so really
Matt.
appreciate
Thanks,
you
you
guys
were
coming
great.
out.
Thanks, man.